Dylan.
And I'm Kiyan.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where we just slap someone in the background, because this week we watched The Horror of Fang Rock.
Written by Terrance Dicks.
Directed by Patty Russell.
And aired in September of 1977. So we're in the post-Star Wars era now, finally.
Is that how we're gonna classify the show now? Pre-Star Wars and post-Star Wars?
Yes.
Is there gonna be the inter-Star Wars years, which will be between the original and prequel trilogies?
Sure, then this is the...
Is this the second inter-Star Wars period?
Yeah, I guess, actually. Still need to buy those Episode 7 tickets. Hopefully they're not all sold out.
I don't think they'd sell out the whole run of Episode 7 yet. I mean, they don't usually take movies out of the theaters till they stop selling tickets.
Yeah. Episode 7's probably going to be in for a pretty
couple
long
months.
time. But that's not the point of this show.
You want to hear more about Star Wars? Listen to Triple Play, our other show. Now, this week, we're stranded in a lighthouse.
With a bunch of terrible people.
Well, I mean, it's okay, because they all die in the end, so...
Yeah, literally every character introduced in this serial dies.
Yep.
Actually, I'd say most objects important to the story introduced in this serial break, too. To be honest, or are destroyed in some way.
I guess, yeah. I suppose that's not an incorrect statement.
So it starts off with these three guys manning a lighthouse. Ben and Vince, who I guess are the... Well, Vince is new, Ben is sort of like the intermediate level guy, and then Ruben is the old hat.
The old grumpy
the old
lighthouse
guard.
keeper. So, the boilers are being on the fritz, and they don't know what's going on. The light's kind of flickering. So Ruben's like, hey, Ben, go down and check on the boilers. And he goes down and just promptly gets electrocuted. So he's on screen for all of 5 minutes tops, maybe.
Vince goes outside and a fog rolls in, so he goes to tell Ruben. And Ruben's like, no, I've been watching the skies for 50 years. I know when a fog's going to roll in, and it's not going to roll in today. And he goes outside, and there's a thick fog blanketing the area. They're on a cliff, by the way.
Well, I mean, where else would they put a lighthouse?
I mean, I don't know, on a headland, which I guess would also be a cliff, but...
Just in the middle of the continent? Land lighthouse.
I don't know. They're on an island, I guess.
Yeah, that would also make sense. You need to put lighthouses close to the ocean. So it's about this time that the Doctor and Leela show up, and Leela's also not wearing her traditional garb again.
Apparently this is the last serial where she doesn't.
So yeah, that's kind of cool, but the Doctor's also changed back into his light grey coat that we saw back in Brain of Morbius. And they're like, yeah, we're going to Brighton, and they're definitely not in Brighton. It's foggy and craggy.
So I guess they make their way to the lighthouse, and Ruben and Vince have discovered Ben.
Yeah.
And Ruben's immediately suspicious of the Doctor and Leela.
Well,
which I guess is understandable.
They do always seem to show up right when people die.
Yeah, they should probably do something about that.
So, they explain to the Doctor that Ben is dead, and Ben's like, looks like he died of an electrical shock. Must have touched this electrical thing here by the boiler. And Vince is like, no, but he was always so careful.
And Ruben's like, yeah, this is what electricity will do to you. So, which I guess sets this like at the end of the 19th century.
Yeah, I guess he's not a fan of electricity, but how else would the lighthouse function? Would they just light a big bonfire?
Oil! He did go on and on about oil for a little bit.
Gondor has lit the flame. Gondor calls for aid.
Yeah, anyway.
So, that's pretty much all that happens in episode 1, because they kind of announce that a ship is heading towards the land, and they're like, oh no, sound the foghorn!
But it's too late, because the ship crashes into the rocks and is destroyed.
It splinters and breaks.
Come to think of it, were those 4 the only ones on the ship, or are we going to have another letter here?
No, I think those were the only 4. Because it was just a private yacht, I think.
Huh, okay.
I think Lord Palmerdale was heading back to do some shady things.
Right, really not... These episodes really aren't too dense, to be honest. They're obviously 24 minutes, but not much happens, to be honest.
Didn't feel like that, though. It didn't feel like it was trying to draw it out at any point. It felt like it was a good self-contained story.
It did, but looking back on it...
Yeah.
I mean, that was episode 1.
Yeah, looking back on it, it's not like... Wasn't this dense philosophical thing. It was kind of just a lot of them talking and running through the halls of the lighthouse, which is a pretty good set, by the way.
Yeah, it was. Well, kind of reminded me of the smugglers from, like, the first Doctor era.
Yes, the ship crashes and we meet an additional cast of characters. Meet Lord Palmerdale, who's this super shady millionaire. His secretary, who also appears to be madly in love with him, Adelaide. Some guy named Skinsale.
Right, he's a politician. He used to be in the army, and now he's a politician.
Yeah. And then the ship's captain, Harker.
Right. And all of these people have...
secrets. Well, except Adelaide. She just screams and everything.
Well, I was going to say terrible personalities, but yeah, that too.
So they kind of show up and they're kind of just being jerks to Ruben and Vince. They're like, give us everything. Give us somewhere to stay. We need somewhere for the night. And they're like, well, I guess you can use the crew quarters.
Palmerdale demands brandy, and Vince is like, well, you'll just have some soup. He's like, no, I'll have brandy. Except he doesn't talk like this.
Well, Vince also says they don't keep brandy in the lighthouse. Or any hard alcohol, I think. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention in episode 1 when Ben dies, they're going to send a message to the mainland using the... What was it called? They weren't going to use the telegraph because Ben was the expert at the telegraph.
They were going to use carrier pigeon. No, I don't know.
They were going to use semaphore. They were going to use the semaphore poles. And I was like, what are semaphore poles? So I went and looked them up. They definitely do not work in the fog, just FYI.
I don't even know what those are, and I guess I missed that line.
I mean, I can try explain. They're basically, it's like you have a horizontal pole that's connected to 2 vertical poles, and then you can like orient the vertical poles in certain orientations, and they represent letters, and you can send messages that way. It's like that, I don't know what it's called, but the flag language that like the Navy uses.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like that, but it uses giant metal poles.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would work in the fog.
So yeah. Anyway, the telegraph becomes important later for various other reasons. But in episode 2, we find out that Skinsale has basically... Palmerdale has basically extorted information out of Skinsale.
Right, because Skinsale is, I guess, a member of the House of Commons, which I think is like the House of Representatives that we have here.
Ish.
And then, yeah.
I'm not well versed in my British politics.
Well, I'm pretty sure our House and Senate is sort of synonymous with their Commons, and I think they have the House of Nobles? Lords? Something like that. Maybe we shouldn't talk about this, because we clearly don't know too much about it.
Well, we can just skim over it. Yeah, he's part of the House of Commons. There you go. We skimmed over it.
Well, these 4 are at each other's throats, which doesn't make for a good... True at all.
Yeah, Palmerdale wants to leave tomorrow morning, and Hug is like, have you seen the giant hole in the side of the ship, Palmerdale? Have you seen the ship?
Palmerdale's having nothing of it. Skinsale is just sitting there making sarcastic remarks at everyone, and Adelaide is just berating everyone and also screaming.
While also putting Palmerdale on a pedestal because he can't do anything wrong, apparently.
So, during the night, Harker, that was his name, right?
Harker, the captain?
Yeah. He wakes up and tries to kill Palmerdale. Wait,
and fails.
Doesn't he say a bunch of good sailors died because of you? because he urged the
Yeah.
captain to keep going on. So I guess some people did die.
I guess, yeah. I guess we have 2 letters for this
Oh, God.
episode then.
So, yeah, he's not successful. Skinsale sort of breaks it up, and the Doctor does too.
Yeah, the
As
Doctor
all
gets
this-
really angry for this whole serial because, and I don't blame him because everyone's just really irritating to be around.
He's also kind of snappy at Leela, which isn't justifiable.
We're going to talk about that.
Well,
We're going to talk about Leela. The end.
I don't know. I liked Leela in this serial though, but she changes into a sweater. Apparently,
Yeah, I actually kind of liked her outfit this serial. I don't think it was as outrageous as a Victorian England one. I don't think we described what that one looked like, but it was pretty outrageous.
it was pretty Victorian. That's all you need to know what it looks like.
Yeah, the Doctor breaks it up, and he's still trying to figure out what's going on with the lighthouse because he thinks the electrocution was kind of shady.
Right,
And how does it? Episode 2 ends with a really boring cliffhanger too.
right. You just hear someone scream, and in episode 3, you find out it was Reuben.
Yeah,
Reuben had also explained to Vince and the Doctor and Leela about the monster of Fang Rock,
yeah, the Horror of Fang Rock, the titular Horror of Fang Rock, I guess.
which apparently appeared 50 years ago or something and killed some people, and now apparently the same thing's happening again.
Yeah, and he thinks the beast is back.
Right. You also see a glowing orb-like thing in the water. And throughout all of this, actually, you see this in episode 1, too, before Ben dies, and intermittently throughout episodes 1 and 2, but you see sort of blurry green-blue vision. I thought the villain was going to be the Sea Devils or something. Even though Silurian vision actually is 3...
Pronged and red.
Yeah. But no, it's not. It's actually kind of an interesting villain.
Yeah, building on previous lore too. But so the Doctor rushes around looking for where the scream comes from, and he doesn't find anything. And Palmerdale and Harker and Skinsale are running around looking for where the scream comes from. They also don't find anything. Adelaide's just kind of... They sent her to go lie down in the crew quarters alone, and then she got scared and came back to the eating common room, I guess was what that was.
I guess it was just some sort of break room,
They
but
keep the telegraph in there for some reason.
but while all this is going on, Ben's body has disappeared. And
Yep.
Vince claims it walked away, but they find it later in the ocean or on the rocks or something, all mangled.
Pretty shady.
But no one else believes that anything is... Well, none of the people from the ship believe that anything is wrong for some reason. And Reuben believes, obviously, that it's the monster. But the Doctor thinks it's an alien.
I mean, he always does.
And he's right.
It's never actually just a monster. It's always an alien. Even Loch Ness Monster was an alien.
So he explains to Leela that whoever the alien species is obviously hostile and probably also pretty cowardly because it hasn't shown itself and it's
Yeah.
been trying to get not the lay of the land, but then trying to scope out its surroundings and kill people and apparently perform a detailed analysis of human anatomy because it cut open Ben.
Yeah.
That doesn't actually come into play later now that I think about it.
Yeah, it does. Because it uses that analysis to turn itself into Reuben.
Oh. Is that, well,
I
doesn't
think
the
that's what
Doctor...
the implication was. I think it was implying that it had to analyze the humans to be able to transform.
Huh. Well, there was something weird about the transformations. The Doctor the Doctor uses a couple terms to describe the transformations that he deduces the alien being is probably undergoing, and he uses the term lycanthropy. So I was like, that sounds kind of cool. I wonder what that is. So I looked it up, and it's like transformation into a wolf.
Yeah, that's what I thought. This didn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I don't know.
Yeah, so in episode 3, Palmerdale goes to talk to Vince, and he tries to pay off Vince to send a message to the mainland using the telegraph machine about Lord Palmerdale, I guess.
Well, he's tried to pay off pretty much everyone, actually. We didn't mention. And then I think Vince is sort of his last resort.
Yeah, so he's like, I'll give you £50 now and £50 when the message has been delivered and I get back to the land so I can get my money. We all know he's not giving him that second £50. But anyway, he gives him the £50 and Skinsale has snuck off from Adelaide to go find out what Palmerdale was doing, and he overhears the conversation. He's like, So he goes back into the break room and does something that you don't find out what he does until later. But Palmerdale decides to go hide on the little balcony outside the light room because the doctor showed up to talk to Vince. Leela's been running around all over the place doing whatever the doctor says. Mostly, hey, go back down to the boiler room and tell him to keep the boiler stoked. Tell Harker to keep the boiler stoked.
Also threatening people. Satisfyingly, I might add. Because they were all being jerks.
Yeah, we're almost at the part where she slaps Adelaide.
And I think we already passed the part where she threatens to cut someone's heart out.
So, yes, Palmerdale is hiding out on the little balcony, and the doctor tells Vince that they need to keep the boiler going through the night so they can try and contact the mainland for help.
And also, well, maybe not, but the doctor also realizes that the alien... God, it's going to be hard to keep calling it the alien when I know what it is. The alien doesn't like heat, so I guess...
Yeah. If they keep the boiler going, the alien won't really come around. Which is why the boiler keeps cutting out, because the alien's trying to shut it off because it's too hot.
What alien species have we seen so far that doesn't like heat? None.
Ice Warriors,
actually.
actually.
Except maybe the Ice Warriors.
The doctor does just send them into the sun, but anyway. They head downstairs, and Vince tries to find Palmerdale because he went out of the balcony. He's like, oh no, and he calls down to the break room. He's like, Palmerdale fell off the balcony. They're like, what? And they go out to get his body, and Adelaide starts blaming Skinsale. It's like, you went up there, you pushed him off, you killed him. The doc's like, no, he was dead of electrocution, dead before he even hit the ground.
Right, this is when Leela slaps Adelaide, because as soon as she learns that Palmerdale is dead, she just screams, and Leela's just like, nope.
It was pretty satisfying, though, even though it was in the background, because the doctor was in the front. Because Skinsale was revealing that he went to go overhear Palmerdale, and now Adelaide's like, you're just smearing his name. I don't believe that he ever bought political secrets off of you. Except she doesn't talk like that.
Wasn't that the whole point of their voyage?
And then apparently Skinsale had destroyed the telegraph machine, so the doctor's like, in destroying it, you've destroyed our only hope of escape.
And he's like, but I was just trying to protect my reputation.
Your reputation won't matter for all dead, Skinsale.
And it doesn't.
The doctor didn't say that, but he should have, now that I think about it.
Well, that's basically what he was implying. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no one believes that it's actually an alien. They all think the doctor's just whack, and Adelaide's like, what kind of doctor do you think you are? So it's really satisfying when she also dies. Spoiler, I mean, we already said everyone dies, so...
Right. Literally everyone. Not like, oh, everyone dies and there's a couple of people left. Like, no, literally everyone dies in this serial.
Except the Doctor and Leela.
Yeah. Who have now realized that Reuben isn't who he appears to be.
Oh yeah, and Harker's died. He also got electrocuted, by the way. And when Adelaide sees that, she also starts screaming, and Leela kind of just shoves her back out of the room.
Harker's death... Was it Harker? Harker? Okay.
Harker.
Keep forgetting. Harker's death was the least satisfying. Because he did the least wrong. Even though he tried to kill Palmerdale.
Yeah, but wouldn't you try to kill Palmerdale too? He seems pretty sleazy.
I mean, I wouldn't try to just choke him right then and there, which is what Harker did.
Yeah, you would have pushed him off the lighthouse balcony, right?
I did it. It wasn't Skinsale. It was me. No.
It was me, James. It's a reference to the new James Bond film. Right, so the Doctor has realized that Reuben's not who he thinks, because meanwhile, Reuben's been hanging out in his room and they can't seem to get in, but Leela...
Oh, God.
Leela has found a mallet, I guess.
I thought it was an axe. or something.
Something like that, and she's like, and she takes it upstairs and starts hacking through the door.
Right, and she busts down a small portion of the door, pokes her head in, and goes, "Here's Leela." No. No, she doesn't do that.
No, but she does go, "Come out, old man, or I'll come in there and kill you."
Leela is actually probably my favorite companion. I'm going to reserve final judgment, obviously, till the end of her run, but
really?
I'm going to say she's probably going to overtake Jamie at this rate.
I feel like her character degressed in this serial. We lost everything that was unique about her. Now she's just a savage who doesn't know anything. Because in the previous 3 serials, she was like, yeah, I know what's going on. I can solve all these mysteries. And she was the one saving the Doctor and figuring out everything the Doctor did. And in this series, she was just the Doctor's dog, so to speak.
I do agree that she's sort of relegated to a side... Well, I guess companions are sidekicks, but she's sort of relegated to a lesser role here. But she did enough, and I feel like... Maybe it wasn't intentional, but I feel like maybe Louise Jameson's acting here was sort of snarky towards Tom.
Well,
maybe it was sort of intentional within the script, too.
Well, I don't even think it's just being relegated to a side character, because I feel like she did do enough. But it was more like she was being regressed back to just being a savage. We lost all the characterization we had got from the previous 3 serials.
Well, there was that scene with Adelaide where she's like, I used to believe in magic, too, and now...
The Doctor taught me about science. It's better to believe in science.
I guess it's sort of just... spouting whatever the Doctor said, but
it's really,
I don't know,
weirdly written lines. Sounds really awkward.
I feel like some of her acting also changed here.
Yeah.
Somehow, and I don't even know how to describe it, but did she not use contractions before? Because she doesn't now. Maybe that's what it was. I noticed she didn't use any contractions at all, and it sounded weird.
Yeah, I guess the biggest change would be the fact that her language just totally changed. Like, the language she uses went from reasonable, scholarly-ish language to no contractions, super short, blunt sentences.
Well, this was written by Terrance Dicks, so maybe it'll change next serial.
Anyway, I guess we'll see what happens to Leela's character, but if it continues down the path that started on this serial, I don't think I'm going to be too pleased.
I don't think I was as displeased as you, but...
It just felt like a complete 180 to me, and that displeases me.
Anyway, Ruben is standing there in his room glowing.
Oh, yeah.
We forgot to mention when... Well, I guess it was supposed to just be an electrocution special effect, but they glow when they die. Ruben's just standing there doing it constantly.
So I was like, quick, get out. So they run away, and then Ruben starts roaming the hallways. And
like
at the end of episode 3, they actually find Ruben's body, and the Doctor's like, oh no, I've made a terrible mistake. Instead of locking the monster out, I locked it in.
Right. And, the real Ruben has been dead for quite a while.
I mean, let's just not mention the fact that there's a window open on the lighthouse, so it doesn't really matter anyway. Because there is that scene where the Doctor hides by hanging out the window in episode 4.
Yeah, and the villain can just climb up walls, so there you go. And you see it climbing up walls, you see a green glowing orb ascending the outer wall of the lighthouse.
So Ruben goes on a killing spree now. He finds Vince and kills Vince. Then he finds Adelaide and kills Adelaide.
And only Skinsail is left, and the Doctor and Leela.
Yeah. So they're like, oh no.
Skinsail holds his own for a little while.
His hubris. No, his greed kills him, actually.
Hey, greed is the most powerful emotion.
We've already made that joke on this show.
Also his hubris. But is this into episode 4?
Yeah. Because episode 3 ends with...
Oh, right, yeah, 3 ends with that.
I locked him in.
Yeah.
And then Ruben goes on the killing spree, and the Doc's like, well, I guess we gotta kill it now somehow. So they use, some of the flare powder to kind of burn the scout away, and the Doctor has this heart-to-heart with the scout, and it's revealed that it's a Rutan.
Right, he drops his guise and turns into the green orb you already knew he was. Although maybe you didn't think it was actually just a green orb because his other shots were from so far away, but no, it's actually just a glowing green orb which is draped with what look like
tentacles.
I thought they looked like spider webs. Okay, like sort of like gossamer-ish, I guess, because they were super thin and tendrily.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, it just looked like a glowing green orb.
Yeah,
really.
and
that's the biggest point.
Yeah, that's what it was. So, yeah, right. It's a Rutan.
Yeah, the enemies of the Sontarans. Their only appearance on TV.
Really?
Yeah.
Great. Maybe the special effect to create them was too high budget for them. I don't know.
Yeah, but we get some more background into the war between the Rutans and the Sontarans, and the Doctor reveals that the war must be going poorly for the Rutans if they've decided to invade Earth. Which,
the Rutan tries to defend itself, but it doesn't seem too confident in its answer. But it also reveals that that a mothership is headed on its way to Earth. Actually, come to think of it, completely paralleling and just jacking the story of the Sontaran experiment, almost.
Yeah, but at least the mothership shows up in this one. Instead of the Doctor talking to the Sontaran and be like, Earth is of no strategic value, in the Sontaran going like, yeah, you're right, and leaving.
At least there's that.
The Doctor tries to play off I've already taken your transmitter, which he got when he was hanging out the window, and the Rutan's like, yeah, but it transmitted for long enough for them to catch onto the signal, so,
Good luck with that.
Good luck! And then it kind of runs away for a bit because they burn it. And, Leela suggests turning the lighthouse into a laser beam, and the Doc's like, yeah, that'll work. We just need a big crystalline thing to focus it through. Skinseal's like, I've got a diamond. The Doc's like, yeah, it's not big enough. We need a bigger diamond.
See, Leela holds her own.
For one scene.
At some points. There are a couple points in this serial where she's kind of awesome.
For one scene.
She gets to make that jab at the Doctor about how easy it'll be to get rid of the Rutan because apparently it's so savage.
I don't think that was a jab. I think that was her misunderstanding Time Lords.
I'm gonna say it's a jab.
Didn't sound like a jab to me. The only line of dialogue that I thought was spectacular in this episode was when Leela made that pun. She's like, I'm not a technician.
I don't remember that.
It was in the first episode. I even made a note of it. I was like, a pun worthy of Kiyan.
Oh, God.
So the Doctor's like, yeah, and says some technical stuff, and she's like, I'm not a technician, and they're walking up the stairs, and the Doctor's like, technician? Yeah, she's like, let's turn it into a laser. The Doctor's like, okay, just gotta get some diamonds. Skinseal's like, oh yeah, Palmerdale carried diamonds. I guess he's just like liquidating his assets into pure diamonds and just carrying them with him all the time.
He was an eccentric millionaire.
Uses his pockets as his bank.
He stores his fortress under his mattress. He stores his fortress under his mattress. No, he stores his fortune under his mattress.
So they run down to the break room to get... Well, the Doctor leaves Leela with the light. Because he sets up... I don't even know what the thing they used was, but it was like some sort of janky cannon type thing, and they just start filling it with junk. I remember seeing Leela take the Doctor's bag of jelly babies out of his pocket and throw it in the cannon thing, too.
Oh, really? I missed a lot of stuff in this serial. Yeah, surprisingly.
Leela takes it out and kind of looks at it and is like, and then just chucks it in.
Are we counting this on the jelly baby count?
No, I don't think that counts.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how they rigged it up to work or what they even did.
No, I don't know what they did at all.
But it works in the end, so...
Yeah, they set it up at the top of the stairs, and the Doctor's like, don't fire till you see the green of his tentacles. So they go down to get the diamonds, and the Doctor looks through the diamonds, picks one that seems the biggest, and just kind of throws the rest on the floor. And then Skinseal's like, oh, diamonds.
Oh, my God.
Tries to get diamonds, and then he gets killed.
I missed that, too. I missed him diving for the... Man, I missed a lot of stuff in this
he dies because he stops to pick up diamonds. That's why I said his greed killed him.
I thought he just randomly got...
No, he stopped to pick up some diamonds that the Doctor chucked on the ground.
Well... He gets his just desserts, as did everyone else. And
So
maybe it was the dark color scheme in this cereal that made me miss everything. I don't know.
was a lighthouse on Fang Rock.
And on the Fritz, so you'd assume it'd be pretty dark because that's why they put a lighthouse there, because it's dark naturally. And then they use the lighthouse to light it up.
You usually put lighthouses on cliffs where ships might run into the cliffs at night. That's why the lighthouse is there. I mean, like I said earlier, you don't just plop a lighthouse in the middle of the desert. It'd be really weird. But yeah, they go upstairs and then Leela fires the cannon thing at the Rootin and kills it, and then she goes and gloats over his death, which I also thought was weird because she hadn't done that before.
But she does it now.
That was the biggest thing that was weird to me. So it's like, huh? Because like even in Face of Evil, when she was still part of the tribe and everything, she would kill people, but she wouldn't gloat about it. She'd be like, I had to kill them, Doctor. And the doctor's like, I guess. And then this one she goes and like, haha, I killed you. And the Rootin's like, you're too late.
I didn't think that much of it. I kind of just accepted it.
Don't justify it, just accept.
Yeah.
Well, we go upstairs, the doctor fiddles with the light and the laser for a bit, and then he's like, okay, when we leave, we'll have... I think he says something really specific, like 112 seconds or something.
Yeah, 117.
The doctor tells Leela not to look back.
Right. And
she does.
That, interestingly enough, plays into what happens. So they're running away, and she does look back, and she goes blind. Didn't we make a joke about her going blind last time?
Maybe.
We knew her eye color changed because she stopped wearing her brown contacts. I don't remember if we made a little quip about her going blind, but she does. No, she doesn't.
She does briefly, and she tells the doctor to slay her because she's blind and she's useless, and the doctor's like, no, you're not. Plus, the blindness is temporary.
Really temporary, because it goes away in about 3 seconds. But her eyes remain blue.
Yeah, the eyes change to blue. Not that you can tell, because everything's dark.
Right, and plus, like I said last week, all eyes look brown from far enough away.
I assume when we get the TARDIS interior again, and it's bright and light and white, hopefully, we'll be able to see the blue of her eyes.
Don't shoot until you see the blue of her eye. No, I don't know.
Don't dematerialize till you see the blue of her eye. Yeah, come to think of it, we haven't seen the TARDIS interior since Robots of Death. The wood warped in storage, by the way. That's why they stopped using the new console room, because it was all wood. They kind of warped in storage. That's the problem with building things out of wood and not storing them in dry locations. I think if you've been to London...
Hey, Britain's a wet, sensible place to be, like the Briggs said. I think that was actually in... Oh God,
Robot?
No, it was in... What was the book we read?
Lost in the
Lost in the Gathering, yes.
But yeah, so I guess we'll see a new TARDIS console room eventually, hopefully.
Maybe. I spoiled something kind of major that happens next week, but it doesn't pertain to that at all.
I might know what you spoiled, but... So, yeah, the Doctor and Leela dematerialize, and that's the end of the serial.
Yep.
Apparently, according to Louise Jameson, there was a scene in episode 3, I don't think she mentioned what scene it was, but Tom kept jumping her lines, and she would demand that they would keep reshooting it till Tom did it the way that the script was written. And apparently that gained Tom's respect, so they worked much better after this.
Well, you'd think he wouldn't really even do that in the first place. It's pretty unprofessional.
Well, we already know that he didn't want a companion, and he was doing it intentionally because he didn't want a companion.
You'd also think that the production crew would tell him to stop doing that after a while.
I mean, we just got a new producer, so maybe he doesn't know the behind-the-scenes dealy-mabobbers.
I guess, but I mean, you'd think after the first take that he did it, you'd think he'd be told not to do it, and it wouldn't require maybe 2 takes at the most, but it wouldn't require multiple takes. I don't know.
I think everybody was just going along with Tom's antics, like Crispin Glover in Back to the Future.
Oh, God.
Everybody was just like, well, he's getting results, so we'll just go with it. You know?
Well, that might not be the best analogy because they kind of didn't go with a lot of what Crispin Glover wanted to do, or so I've heard.
Well,
as
the
far as I know.
actors loved him and the producers hated him. Remember?
Well, the actors hated some of his ideas also. But that's not a story for this.
Want to hear more of that?
podcast.
Listen to Triple Play, our other podcast. Shoot, what else did I want to mention about the serial? Oh, I was watching the credits. I don't know why I was watching the credits, because I usually just put them on in the background. And I recognized a name. The production unit manager is Jonathan Nathan Turner, who will become producer in Tom's final season and will be the final producer of the show in the classic era. So he kind of gets his start.
Long run.
Yeah, he kind of gets his start on the show as production unit manager for this season.
Right.
So that I thought that was kind of interesting, seeing someone who's going to be future producer kind of pop up in the credits already.
Making his name. I don't know.
Yeah, he would have a pretty long run because he would cover Doctors 5 through 7 plus Tom's final season.
Well, I mean, if we're counting his entire run on the show, doing anything, he starts now. Or maybe he started before and we didn't notice him or he wasn't credited.
I think he like did some really minor things on a serial a couple seasons back I was reading, but his first regular recurring behind the scenes appearance is production unit manager.
What does a production unit manager even do?
I don't know. I feel like they're the one who does all the scheduling because that sounds like what it would do, what they would do. But you know, other than that, was I'd say it was a relatively decent serial. Wouldn't say it was anything to write home about, but I thought it was good.
Middle of the road, but if this season's anything like last, then it'll only improve.
Yeah, it'll still be interesting because we have Graham Williams at the helm and not Hinchcliffe still anymore. Hinchcliffe has moved on to bigger and better things.
Well,
I don't know what he moved on to, actually. Maybe
me neither.
Maybe he just retired. He's like, I'm gonna retire now. Got that sweet Doctor Who money. And I don't know how long we have Robert Holmes for, but I'm pretty sure it's for at least this season, and then we get Douglas Adams by the end of Graham Williams' run of Hitchhiker's fame. And then we go into
That'll be interesting.
the JNT era, where everything starts to slowly start crashing down.
Maybe it's his fault. We shall see.
Yeah, I guess next week. So email us at thedoctordecadavegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, thoughts on Graham Williams. Just how is he as a person? Just only tell us how he is as a person and nothing about his work on TV. Just be like, oh yeah, I met him. He's a pretty cool guy. Check us out on iTunes at Trust Your Doctor. Check us out on YouTube at Trust Your Doctor. Leave a rating on iTunes if you liked the show. That would mean a lot. It would also tell us what we need to improve, because there's always room for improvement.
No, I think we've pretty much reached the pinnacle of everything at this point. No.
We're the pinnacle of podcasting.
Clearly. Also check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter, TYD Podcast. Follow us on Twitter, and next week we continue on with The Invisible Enemy. Oh, looks like the Vizians are making their return.
The long-awaited return.
I've been waiting for this. No. But until then, the end.